Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence. We go up to all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on. It's going to be fun. All right, guys. Today's date is December 11th, 2021, and this is How the Frack We Got Here. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan on How the Frack We Got Here. We do take the events of the week and try to make sense of it all. Before I say this, guys, we are a family-friendly podcast, so we do try to watch our language. And at the same time, there may be some things that may be shown that may be of a graphic nature. So for younger viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. Well, there's no way to actually start this. If you are in the Midwest or the South, we got rocked last night, and a little bit and the damage is very significant.
Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday morning. That one tornado, just one, spanned 4 states and traveled more than 200 miles in Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky. And there are fears that this deadly weather may not be over yet. We are going to speak to Kentucky's governor in just a moment, but we do want to begin with NBC's Morgan Chesky, who has been tracking the devastation overnight. Morgan, good morning to you.
Yeah, Peter, Kristen, good morning. And it will be a devastating day for so many communities following this massive storm outbreak. You mentioned Mayfield, Kentucky. The governor there saying at least 100 people were inside that factory when a tornado struck, and 12 people may have perished in that one business alone. Meanwhile, the extent of this devastation only expected to rise with daybreak.
More than 100 people were inside a candle factory when the tornado ripped through Mayfield, Kentucky.
And it blew the house away. The only thing standing was the bathroom and the hall.
Governor Andy Beshear believes at least a dozen people could be lost at that business alone.
Very hard, really tough. And we're praying for each and every one of those families.
Now, Kentucky officials believe this storm is one of the most severe in the state's history.
We believe our death toll from this event will exceed 50 Kentuckians, probably end up closer to 70 to 100 lost lives.
The powerful twister demolished the Mona Manor nursing home in Arkansas, trapping 20 people inside overnight. At least one person is reported dead and 5 seriously injured. A massive emergency response rushed to the site and were able to bring the rest of the residents out safely. A second nursing home in Truman was damaged. Power lines down there, the roads still blocked.
The nursing home is hit. The fire department's been hit.
Still more damage in Leachville as the twister cut a 100-mile-long path diagonally through northeast Arkansas. Powerful winds swept through Illinois, too, shredding an Amazon warehouse and trapping dozens of workers in Edwardsville. The fire department reports multiple injuries. Anxious relatives fought through the storm to reach the scene.
Yeah, it was lightning bad. We lost power for about 2 hours now, and then my phone died. So it's like I have no idea to get a hold of him. I have no idea what's going on, and we're just worried sick.
And search and rescue operations are ongoing as we speak in multiple communities. The power of this storm incredibly clear. Debris that was part of that Mayfield tornado was seen lifted up as high as 30,000 feet in the air. Peter, Kristen, we'll send it back to you.
So again, guys, for all those that are wondering, I myself kind of slept through it. Hopefully everybody is okay. Not only Kentucky was hit, parts of Tennessee, especially in the especially middle, west, and parts of East Tennessee were hit. Parts of Alabama were hit. Parts of Mississippi were hit. Needless to say, this is very unusual weather just because it is December. That's usually around the time where the South is usually getting some colder weather, but again, climate change and all that. And of course, we really usually see some very unusual weather. But again, guys, hopefully everybody is safe for your loved ones and make sure everybody is okay. You know, call, text, because again, I know my family does it. We, you know, something like that happens. We just want to make sure everybody's all right. So again, hopefully you and yours and everybody else has come okay through it. And for those who are affected or in the path of that, so path of those tornadoes, hopefully all is well with you guys with that, just because it is because now let me tell you something. Mother Nature is undefeated. So I don't play with lightning. I don't play with thunderstorms. I definitely do not play with tornadoes after seeing one too close that I'd rather not be close to. But again, we will follow up on that if any other news is present regarding the previous storms. And like I said, just be mindful of the weather, guys, because like I said, it's amazing how quickly it can change on us. But speaking of things that can change on us, I am sorry to say that the Supreme Court did exactly what we thought they would do when it comes to the abortion law. Nothing.
Day for abortion at the Supreme Court. The justices leaving in place a controversial Texas law that bans most abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected around 6 weeks. Anti-abortion advocates are celebrating.
The court has allowed the Texas law to stay in effect for 101 days now, and we're very confident that it's going to stay in effect.
While the Supreme Court did not step in to block the law, it did rule in favor of abortion providers, saying they can sue some state officials, sending the case back to the lower courts. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing with the court's liberals, saying, given the ongoing chilling effect of the state law, the district court should resolve this litigation and enter appropriate relief without delay. But the ruling means the threat to abortion in Texas remains, since private individuals won't be stopped from suing any person involved in performing an abortion after 6 weeks, with payouts under the law amounting to $10,000 per case if the plaintiff wins. Clinics across Texas have shut down because of that threat of litigation.
It is going to be hugely problematic as we go forward that these cases continue to be brought. And they continue to have a chilling effect on people's access to abortion care.
The law has now been in effect 100 days since September 1st. In that time, abortion clinics in surrounding states have reported being overwhelmed at the number of Texas women coming in for procedures, and low-income women without the means to travel have been left with few options. Liberal-leaning Justice Sonia Sotomayor slammed the Supreme Court's decision, saying the court should have put an end to this madness months ago. My disagreement with the court runs far deeper than a quibble over how many defendants these petitioners may sue. The dispute is over whether states may nullify federal constitutional rights by employing schemes like the one at hand. And abortion rights advocates are now vowing to keep fighting, even though they've only been left with what they're calling a shred of a case, in their words. Now, in addition to what we saw, the Supreme Court also dismissed the case that was brought by the Justice Department to challenge SB 8. And Pamela, a spokesman for the Attorney General, saying today that they will continue to challenge this law in the lower courts. They say that it subverts the constitutionality of the women's right to choose. So this fight is continuing in other courts. But the point is that at this point, this law stands. That is a big blow to these abortion providers here.
Yeah. So again, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and point this out. That does say a lot about, again, and no matter how you look at this, it's It's fracked up, is what it is. Because again, women's rights are being basically ignored. It's amazing that we have Roe versus Wade, which is the law of the land, and now we have a conservative leading Supreme Court that's saying, I mean, states can do whatever they want. And again, it's almost amazing where it's saying, oh, but the providers can sue. What? That doesn't do anything. That's like saying, we know there's a federal law out there that makes abortion legal, but the states can do whatever they want. But you as a provider can sue the state because technically you still have the right to operate, but they also have the right to make laws, but y'all figure it out without us. That's pretty much what the Supreme Court is saying. And again, I cannot help but point this out. This is what happens when you have a conservative leaning court. And this is what a lot of people, especially abortion rights advocates, were afraid of. But the pro-life people, oh, you guys are loving this for reasons beyond my comprehension, but you're loving this. Because again, I've said it once, I'll say it again. It is amazing that we are in 2021, about to be in 2022 in a couple of weeks, and that women's rights are still being questioned. They're still being discussed. And especially in Texas, where there's a current law, where it's pretty much a snitch law, where if someone is trying to get an abortion and someone reports it, that someone who reports it can get a $10,000 bounty. That law is still in effect in Texas. But that's not considered unconstitutional, which beyond me is horrifying for women. So I don't blame women nowadays. When a woman sits there and says that she doesn't want something, I'm gonna be like, I understand, because it's almost like you're being seen less as a human being. You're being seen more like the women in The Handmaid's Tale. That's about the best way I could put that. But again, it's gonna cause a lot of issues because there are going to be other states, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. They're going to start pushing this in other states where they're all for abortions. Don't think the pro-life people, which I call the most confused people on earth, number 2 confused people on earth next to conservatives, but don't think for 1 second they're not going to try to push this forward and try to sit there and say, we want to speak for all the unborn babies. Trust me, that's their logic. But don't think they're just going to stop at this. They're going to push this forward to get Roe versus Wade overturned, which means that a whole bunch of women out in this world whose rights are going to be challenged just because somebody didn't like the decision they made. That alone speaks volumes about the pro-life community. But we'll follow that as we go along. So also what happened this week, that another school shooting possibly may have happened, but unfortunately was thwarted because somebody was paying attention.
Morning. Police say 2 college students helped avert a possible mass shooting in Florida. Police say 19-year-old John Hagins is in custody after posting a message to a group Snapchat that 2 alert students noticed was troubling, and they, in turn, told authorities about it. CNN's Nick Valencia joins us live now. How close was this? Nick, lay out exactly what happened here.
Yeah, good morning, John. This 19-year-old suspect had laid out these plans to carry out this attack on his university, saying that he was going to bring a collapsible gun tucked inside a backpack filled with hundreds of rounds of ammunition, according to police, to, quote, shoot up the school. And now the 19-year-old that you're looking at there on your screen, John Hagins, had posted these threatening messages on Snapchat in a group message that was then anonymously reported to police by 2 alert students. This plan, according to police, was set to happen on the last day of classes before winter break, when police say Hagins knew that the campus would be full of students taking their final exams. Instead, the 19-year-old was arrested outside of his campus apartment, where police found that backpack filled with hundreds of rounds of ammunition, as well as a collapsible rifle. Now, the police chief there in Daytona Beach says that he's confessed to these messages, to writing these messages, and he says, by the grace of God, this plan was thwarted.
By the grace of God, those 2 students came forward and thwarted that plan. He has already confessed to making these statements. He has confessed to it. He may want to claim that it was all a joke and he wasn't serious about it, but we don't find anything funny about discussing a mass shooting on a campus. If he was looking for attention, he's got it.
Chief Young went on to say that he believes that the suspect sold his vehicle as a way to pay for that gun and ammunition. Now, it's unclear what the motive was, but the chief said that he was in danger of failing classes. He's being charged with attempted first-degree homicide as well as terrorism and being held right now this morning without bond. John?
Yeah.
So again, yeah, there could have been another mass shooting, but what was so amazing about that was the fact that he tried to say, "Oh, it was a joke. It wasn't." That was his defense. It was a joke. His defense was it was a joke. So you're gonna sit there and tell me that you bought a AR starred rifle. You have, let's see, I counted about 5 clips there. I'm assuming probably those clips containing probably between 15 and 20. So that's already after 15 and 20, after 5 clips of that, you got already a good 100 rounds of ammunition right there, and you still carry. But it's a joke. No, it's not. You were caught. Thankfully, someone actually did snitch. Someone actually did rat you out, as they should have, because again, the threat of anything in a school shooting, especially with the one just happened in Oxford, Michigan, where there were signs. I mean, the school did let the parents know that, hey, your son is potentially needing assistance instead of a gun, which they did purchase for him. Instead, the mother that's sitting there saying, well, I'm not mad at you. You just need to be better about not getting caught when searching for ammunition on your phone in school. I mean, the signs were there and that got prevented, and that could have been prevented. Whereas this person in Florida did get prevented because, again, there's no other way I can say this when it comes to school shootings, that we need to look at how we treat guns in this country, and how sometimes in some places it is way, way, way too easily accessible for people to get their hands on guns. And I've been saying that. As a gun owner, I have been saying that there needs to be stricter regulation. There needs to be a national registry list. There needs to be annual training that you have to go through. There needs to be a psych eval that you'll have to go through. There needs to be a lot more done, because I'll say this about Tennessee. I love this state and all its faults, but Tennessee is probably one of the easiest places to go get a firearm. It is. You go to these gun knife and trade shows, and you go there with cash and an ID, no background checks are done. I have seen people firsthand go in there and walk out with a handgun or rifle or shotgun, wherever their choice. No background checks are done. But as long as you have ID and cash, no problem. That alone screams there's a problem with how we do guns, and that, yes, there needs to be regulation. And I'm going to sit there and be on that argument where most people sit there and say, well, gun laws don't work. How do you know? We haven't tried. We're too busy knocking down the idea of regulation and new rules and new things, that we never do try it, because the ongoing excuse is, well, look at these states that have these higher regulations, they still have crime. Because again, the crime itself, and a lot of people always use this excuse too, well, laws are for people that obey them. Again, the most dumbest comment I ever heard, because regulations work. I usually look at Japan. I usually look at Australia, New Zealand, because Japan, for one country, has some of the strictest gun laws you will ever find anywhere else. Like in Japan, you can't own shotguns unless you're the police. You can have pistols, but you have to qualify each year. Mandatory classes, mandatory evaluations, and if anything comes up that's a remote infraction, you lose your ability to own firearms in Japan permanently. But again, there's nothing wrong with going stricter than that. I think we need to, but at this point, I'm afraid, because America has a ammo-sexual problem. Even more so when we see stuff like this in our schools. And it almost makes you wonder what's going to be done about it. Because I saw this upcoming story, and it made me think about my future children, and that, do I really want them in a world where this is possible?
A threat, a huge threat about hanging the N-word. Tiffany Seidler says her stomach dropped when she saw this social media group chat among white students at East Bernard High School.
It was supposed to be about prom, but it just ended up being racist.
16-year-old Tyra getting a heads up from a friend who was in the thread Monday when 5 to 6 students were discussing a party bus for their February 5th prom. One student responded to the thread saying, "No Black people were allowed." Another student responding, "Amen." Then this message from one student saying all N-words must hang. With a follow-up message, what he said. We blurred the names of the students involved as well as the language used.
She's supposed to go to school to learn, not be afraid to go to school because they're talking about hanging. That's a huge threat.
I just feel uncomfortable being there now because that's a threat, but I just don't want to go to that school anymore.
The messages screenshot and shared to other students and parents demanding something be done. Tyra fearing backlash from a student body where she says Blacks are outnumbered. The district superintendent didn't return my calls for comment, but we found this statement on the school's website saying in part, the district was made aware of the group chat Monday evening. A full investigation began immediately the next morning and continued Wednesday. Students involved with the group chat and racist hate speech are receiving disciplinary measures in accordance with the Student Code of Conduct. These measures are confidential. As for whether Tyra will go to the prom,
Parents are telling them they can't go because of the threat. They think something's going to happen at prom, and I don't even think I want to go anymore.
And I can't blame the child. I can't blame her at all. Because, again, it's amazing that, again, we're in 2021, and you would think, because there are a lot of people believe, since we had a Black president, oh, there's no such thing as race issues in America. Shh. Really? Especially in that point where they're talking about a party bus, and it's like, you see the words, all N-words must hang. Where was that learned? I wonder. Because especially in Texas, which again, I have told people when it comes to certain things, especially when I see something in that case where my child says, hey, this text message came up in school where it says all N-words must hang. You ain't going to school that day. Because the worst fear I ever have, especially is that, sending my child off to school where they're supposed to learn, where they're supposed to be educated, where they're supposed to be being healthy, prepared for life, shouldn't have to worry about their life being taken just because some parents ignorantly taught their children their racist views. Especially on a party bus where it just comes to the simple fact of the matter is, you don't want Black people on your party bus? That's fine. But the whole point of where it goes, all N-words must hang? All N-words must hang, really? I mean, that's really how you feel? Because to me, it's going to be like, okay, because now it's like, as a parent, you now have my attention. But what killed me about the whole thing was all measures that were taken to penalize or to punish the students are made confidential. Where have you ever heard that? Because I know, because when I was growing up in school, there was this thing that we had called zero tolerance, and everything about zero tolerance was made public to everyone. But it's amazing to me that these schools, whenever I hear them say that the measures they use to punish the students are purely confidential, I call BS, because that means you didn't do anything. I mean, it's just like saying, "Oh, we took care of it, but what did you do?" "Oh, we can't tell you, it's confidential." Why is it confidential? I mean, if the punishment is public and it's definitely not revealing the student's identity or the parent's identity, what's confidential about it? Because that's my question. What is so confidential about showing what you did to punish or deter these students' way of thinking? Because whatever it is, it's not enough. And I hate to say it's not just Texas. It's Florida, it's Tennessee, it's almost every state out there. There's not a state that doesn't have its own slice of male racism. It doesn't. It's just that unfortunately in the South, it's concentrated, and just like football, it's dang near religion. So, but again, I can't blame that mother for making sure, worrying about her child, because I know if it was me and my future children ever got harmed, I'd be in jail. I know I'd be in jail because I have that. I'm sorry, try Jesus, not me. But again, that's crazy when all you want to do is go learn, but all you run into is hate, especially in states especially in cities and towns where it looks like time forgot. Because trust me, there's a few around here in Tennessee that'll make you definitely not want to be there after nightfall, just because the people there have forgotten that, hey, it's 2021, things have changed. But switching gears for a second, guys, I did want to talk about this, that Starbucks employees have done the one thing that some Amazon workers have not done. They've actually successfully unionized the store.
York, it's now home to the first Starbucks in America to unionize, but a second store in this union election voting no to unionize. And I want to bring in NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns, who has been following this story. So Dasha, we're still waiting on the election results from the third Buffalo Starbucks store. About 100 employees cast their ballots today. So what is the reaction from employees so far?
Kathy, this is all coming in very hot, so I'm just going to walk you guys through what we know so far. So there are 3 Starbucks stores in Buffalo, in the Buffalo area, that were voting on whether or not to unionize. The first store, you're seeing that reaction right now, the first store in Elmwood, the Elmwood location, voted yes. And you're seeing the emotional reaction from those organizers that we spent some time with earlier that week, who have been working on this for a very, very long time. The second location voted no. That got a little bit complicated, though, as a union lawyer said that there were some ballots that weren't counted there. So we'll see where that goes. It looks like it might turn into a bit of a legal battle. And then the third store, those votes are being counted as we speak, Kathy.
So Josh, I want to go back to that store that voted yes. So what happens next?
Well, next, they go through that process of starting to negotiate a contract with Starbucks, with the company, which is what they were really asking for. The folks that we've been talking with said that they really want a seat at that table with executive leadership. What they saw over the course of the pandemic, these jobs, these service sector jobs that were once considered disposable, suddenly became essential, and they want to see that acknowledged by leadership, and they want to make sure that their voices are heard. So they'll start that negotiations process that can take sometimes a very long time, but at the end of the day, they are in that next step of making sure that they are listened to.
And this is certainly a big turn of events. So any response yet from Starbucks?
Not yet. I imagine that we'll likely hear from them as soon as all of the votes are counted. But throughout this process, Starbucks has been communicating with employees. They have been saying, look, we hear you. We're looking to make some changes. Though the pro-union workers say that what Starbucks has really done is flooded those stores that we're trying to unionize with what they call support managers, people from Starbucks corporate to sort of keep an eye on things. Starbucks denies any claims of union busting or surveillance. They say they have sent people there to help out, to address any of the issues or problems or complaints. But at the end of the day, this is where we're at, the first ever unionized corporate-owned Starbucks store in the country.
But you mentioned there are 3 other Starbucks stores in Buffalo, one in Arizona as well, taking steps to unionize. But have not yet held a vote. So what's the impact that today's decision will have on those additional stores?
Well, it's setting a precedent, right, that this is possible, that this can happen. And in fact, the movement on the part of these Starbucks workers came after they saw another coffee shop chain in Buffalo successfully unionize and see their wages go up, see their benefits get better. And so that sort of planted the seed. This was pre-pandemic. And then once COVID hit, they suddenly felt like, look, this is the right time for us. So I think that there's a big shift in the way that labor is viewed, that unions are viewed in the country right now, as we're looking differently at what those jobs are, how essential they really are. Think about the delivery drivers that you relied on during COVID when you couldn't go out.
Okay, so again, I'm actually proud about this, is because I have been saying this for multiple podcasts. The simple fact of the matter, guys, is unions work. And if you don't think, I've yet to see a corporation welcome a union that sat there and believed they didn't need one. Because funny what she mentions that out of the 3 stores, one store successfully did it, one store voted not to do it, and then you still have a third that's undecided. So, it's weird that people don't want unions, because they did the same thing with Amazon. Still trying to do the same thing with Amazon. It's like, well, Amazon pays the highest in the state. They give you benefits from day one. Why do you need a union? That's always been corporates. That's always been how corporations view unions. It's like, why do you need a union? We've given you A, B, and C. What more do you want? We want you to be held at your word. That's what unions are. Unions basically make sure that you get exactly what you should be getting from these corporations. Do not think for 1 second that corporations have your best interest at heart. I actually just showed this on the midweek review where at better.com, 900 employees got fired via a Zoom call. They got fired via a Zoom call before the 2 weeks before the holidays. I'm sorry, 2 weeks 2 weeks before Christmas. 900 employees at better.com were fired by a Zoom call by a CEO who has a history of bullying people. Corporations have no loyalty to its employees. I have been saying that for the longest time. There's no such thing as corporate loyalty. So that's why unions are needed. And especially with Starbucks, Starbucks is like, well, we're not against the idea of unions, but we don't understand why we don't understand why you guys need one. Because unions hold you at your will. Unions are nothing more than the collective bargaining power that workers need against the corporations. That's why it's there. I highly encourage it because a lot of things that you now have at a regular job was because of unions. You know, the fact that you have paid time off, the fact that you have sick leave, the fact that you have negotiating skills when you have a union at that level. There is a reason why all of that is there for your benefit. It's because of unions. So I like the fact that one Starbucks store is being brave enough to sit there and say, you know what? We want to form a union. We want to negotiate. We want to make sure that we are getting exactly what we need to get. And you would think that Starbucks, of course, turns around and sits there and says, oh, well, we're going to send you guys some help. I don't know about you guys, but again, when you sit there and you see, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys, when you sit there and you see for the simple fact of the matter, that they're sending you help. Yeah, it's surveillance. Well, we're just sending additional help and senior management to help out with the store. Store was doing fine. You're there to see who's exactly going to be doing. It's like this is what corporations do. Union busting is illegal. This is true. And if a corporation is found doing union busting practices, they are fined, and even some are sent to jail time depending on the severity of the crime. But instead of them union busting, they send senior management down there, or they'll send additional people from corporate and be like, hey, I'm just here as an additional hand. I'm just here just in case you guys need help. I'm just here to observe and help. That's all I'm here to do. Yes, you're here to observe. You are here to see who is the ones that are talking, and you're here to see who you need to report back to. You are literally Big Brother at the job. That's why I just wish they would admit you're basically Big Brother at the job. So with that being said, I am not surprised that Starbucks is going to send help, because they certainly didn't send help when Starbucks was bogged down. They certainly didn't send help then. Why should they be sending help now? So that's the way I look at this. It's just like it tells you off the bat how much unions are needed when corporations are going to this extremes. That's the whole point I'm making. Aside from that, like I said, I am glad that that one Starbucks store is unionizing, and just like the journalist said, the next steps are they will begin labor contract negotiations with the corporation, with Starbucks Corporation. So again, I am just happy to see that. Now, on the other side, however, Kellogg, unlike John Deere, who successfully those workers there renegotiated their contract and may have not gotten everything they wanted, but they definitely got a lot of the things that they wanted. That strike has ended. However, Kellogg's has sat there and finally drew their line in the sand, because after months of negotiations, they come to the table saying we're going to raise the pay of all workers by 3%. Of course, the workers discussed it, said no. So here's what Kellogg's did.
Kellogg's rejected a contract offer yesterday that would have provided 3% raises. So 1,400 workers at the company's 4 U.S. cereal plants will remain on strike. The union said an overwhelming majority of its workers who've been on strike since early October voted down that 5-year offer. Kellogg says it will now move forward with plans to start hiring permanent replacements for the striking workers.
Yeah. So that's Kellogg's response. That is Kellogg's response, ladies and gentlemen. You don't like our offer of 3% of raising your wages of 3% over the next 5 years? Okay, fine. We'll begin replacing you. And again, a lot of people in the business world are probably sitting there saying, well, that's what they can do. They're allowed to do that. They can do this. I'm like, what kind of tone does that say right there? That from my understanding of Kellogg's, mandatory overtime, it's no time off, horrible conditions, and the pay isn't up to snub. Yes, I'd go on strike too. But the fact that Kellogg's believes that they are a strong enough corporation to where they can sit there and say, well, you guys don't like the fact of these wages. I'm sorry. If you don't like the fact of what we're proposing, okay, kick rocks. We'll find other people. And I'm going to be honest, in this day and age where the great resignation has happened and that there's still 10 plus million jobs out there and counting, they're still open. Kellogg's might want to rethink that for a second, because again, when you have those workers out there who decided they're not going to work and you're trying to replace them, ask John Deere. It didn't really go well to the point to where they had accidents on the first day when they tried to do non-union replacement workers. So Kellogg's may seem confident, but unless you start shipping your stuff from overseas, good luck with that. Because I still think the workers still have a leg to stand on. And I hope they still stand strong in this, because yes, that's the thing about corporations. Corporations have time and money, but what eventually they don't have is people. And when you don't have people, that time and money get affected. Trust me, because I haven't had a Pop-Tart or Raisin Bran or Frosted Flakes or Corn Flakes in a very long time, because I stand in support with the workers, the Kellogg's workers. I refuse to buy any Kellogg's products until they actually do right by the workers. I do miss Pop-Tarts though. But moving right along, guys, I did want to catch this next story. Again, I don't know what it is. I understand people fly. I still, like I said, I still want to be able to go to places once this COVID situation dies down. I think there's just way too much going on now. Of course, flying out of the country, it's a whole nother mess. Flying in the United States is not really bad, but because of the holidays, I just refuse not to try it. But again, I've just wondered when people get on these planes, because I did actually cover this story a few weeks back, because there was a growing number of just unruly passengers on a plane that just feel like they can just act any which way kind of fool. And at the same time, it's just like, why do you risk this? Especially since there's armed air marshals on board. And at the same time, there's really not a penalty for these travelers outside of fines. And again, I say this because there was another guy who got on a plane and again decided to act a fool for no reason.
It happened on board Delta Flight 342, DC to LAX. The FBI says 2 air marshals broke their cover to detain an unruly passenger after he allegedly assaulted a flight attendant, then one of the air marshals who handcuffed him. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. The plane diverted to Oklahoma City, where police arrested 35-year-old Ariel Pennington. After a year of unruly, even dangerous behavior on board planes, the FAA says bad behavior is declining, but they had 5,500 reports so far this year alone. The Attorney General recently ordered federal prosecutors to prioritize crimes that occur on board planes. And air marshals are teaching flight attendants self-defense tactics. But when they're undercover and witness bad behavior, they face a difficult choice. Air marshals who train in mock-ups like this must decide whether that disturbance might really be meant to distract them from a hijacking attempt. TSA Chief Admiral David Pekoski. When should an air marshal get involved and intervene to stop this kind of activity?
We have protocols for air marshals breaking cover and intervening in a situation like this, and these are well exercised protocols between the cabin crew, the flight attendants, and the air marshals.
Interfering with a flight crew can bring up to 20 years in prison and fines of up to $250,000. Over Oklahoma, a pair of air marshals decided they had to intervene. Tom Costello, NBC News, Chicago.
So let's think about that for a second. that why do you feel a need to act a fool on a plane? I'm like, don't get me wrong, be on a plane, depending whether it's first class or, economy or whatever seats. I know usually I fly Southwest, so it's all the seats on the plane. Last time I flew with Southwest, all seats on the plane. I've never experienced first class, but it sounds nice. But I've never understood that. Why act a plumb fool on a plane? Especially because, again, it's a confined area. You're more than likely in a seat that's uncomfortable, and everybody is just trying to get to the next destination. But why, oh why, do you feel the need to act a fool? And I always said this best. I said, you know what the penalty should be for people who act a fool on planes? You should be banned from flying. You should be stuck as a permanent land traveler. And that's why I guarantee if they did that, if you are unruly on a plane and you are caught doing that, you should be put on the no-fly list. You should be flat out, and that'll be the end of it. Nobody will question it. But that's why I'm saying this. That's why I'm sitting here saying that needs to happen, because that would deter so many people, because a lot of people do depend on flying, but we need to get some points to where people actually act normal. And that's, I think, is one of the best ways to do it, because again, these flight attendants are quitting by the numbers too, because flight attendants are like customer service people in the air. I understand. That's why I try to be nice to everybody. Even if I was on a plane, be nice to flight attendants. Lord knows they got to deal with enough craziness on a plane for 8 to 10 or 12 hours a day, depending on their shift. I can only imagine what they deal with on a constant basis. So, I always try to be nice. But again, the fact that it's getting to the point where flight attendants have to take self-defense classes, this is the society we live in. That's what I'm saying. There's not enough being done to punish bad behavior on planes. That's why I say putting on the no-fly list, immediate turnaround, because nobody's going to sit there and play that game if it means you can't fly anywhere. But just saying. The next part we're going to cover is that in the Daunte Wright case, they are taking testimony from the girlfriend, and this is what they had to say, guys. And yes, it is a little hard to watch.
Hands over his chest, and I just tried to hold it, and I was just trying to scream his name.
Daunte Wright's girlfriend, the passenger in his car, describing the moments after former police officer Kim Potter, charged with manslaughter, had shot him in the chest.
He's just gasping, just like, he just wasn't saying anything.
Today, the jury's seeing more new police video as prosecutors focus on what happened in the minutes right after the shooting. Wright's car taking off, jumping a median, crashing into an oncoming vehicle.
Put your hands up!
Police testifying the first officers to arrive had no idea one of their own had shot Wright. One even telling the jury just after the crash he thought Wright was still alive.
Did you see movement of the driver?
Yes, sir.
And that would be indicating that at that point in time, the driver was still alive, correct?
Yes, sir.
Prosecutors say the minutes after Potter shot Wright revealed more examples of how she failed in her duties that day.
She didn't do anything to help him. She didn't call for assistance. She didn't render aid. She didn't communicate any information about what had happened to her fellow officers.
The defense trying to convince the jury Wright's attempt to evade arrest for an outstanding warrant caused his death. Telling the jury Potter's grief and regret are inconsolable. The jury seeing this video of Potter in the minutes after she shot Wright and while he lay dying not far away. Testimony continuing with more officers who responded that day and more video and pictures showing what happened to Wright. Some of it too graphic to show here.
Okay, so that's the defensive side. So that's the defensive side of things, where they're trying to stand and say, "Oh, well, he ran because he had an outstanding warrant." Y'all, we have seen the story. We have seen the story play out too many times. Character assassination. Let's talk about how the victim's own. Let's talk about how the deceased's own choices led up to their demise. If he did have an outstanding warrant, okay, fine. But still, it does not explain the simple fact of the matter that she still somehow mistaked, and this is her words, mistaked a taser for a gun. It still doesn't excuse that fact. You can sit there and say, well, yes, he was running. He honestly could have had multiple felonies out there. And the thing about it is, she still, despite really, despite how many felonies this man has, despite how many things this man has going on, it still does not take away from the fact that yes, the former Officer Potter, you still pulled a gun. And that's what they're trying to do. And I can already see in this case that, officers coming forward saying, yes, well, we thought he was still alive. Their whole thing of like, oh my God, I shot him. And, being on the ground, things of that nature. You're trying to sway the jury to show that there is remorse after your decision. And that is a great defense lawyer tactic. But it doesn't take away from the fact of the matter is, how do you confuse a taser with a gun? So I'm not surprised that this is what the defense is going for, and the fact that they're trying to show that she was still negligent, she was still reckless in her decision, and it led to a life being lost. Point blank and period, this should be a slam and dunk case. But like I said, when it comes to cases where police have shot people of color, it's a little hard to sometimes get a straight conviction from the jury. And I mean that. We still to this day, you still were holding our breath over Ahmaud Arbery. We were still holding our breath over the fact that these three men may not get charged, or even worse, they may walk. So again, with the case of Daunte Wright, we will still follow that, but you can't help but still wonder, is there a chance that she still might get away with it? And that says a lot about our society. Moving forward, guys, I wanted to talk about this story. You don't talk about anything from Fox News because Fox News is not a news station, but the commentary over their Christmas tree being put on fire is amazing. I just feel like I got to point this out.
Christmas tree just across the street from us here at 30 Rock was set on fire. The suspect immediately taken down by police, and tonight the network is expressing outrage. Overnight, cameras capturing nearly every moment of a Christmas crime that lit up Midtown Manhattan. The Fox News Christmas tree set ablaze outside the company's headquarters. Primetime host Shannon Bream showing viewers live.
It appears that our giant Christmas tree there, just a couple minutes ago, was completely engulfed in flames.
Tourists and workers in the area shooting cell phone videos as the 50-foot structure known as the All-American Christmas tree turned into an inferno. Many of the 10,000 glass ornaments and 100,000 lights that make up the decor melting, sending plumes of black smoke into the sky. Police quickly taking down the alleged arsonist, Fox describing the man as, quote, tinsel torching suspect Craig Tamanaha, 49 years old.
The motive, I don't think, is clear at this point. It's an individual that's known to us. He has a series of low-level arrests and drug arrests. He was issued earlier this year some appearance tickets and didn't come back to court, which unfortunately is something we see all too often. He also has some low-level arrests in out of state.
Investigators say he climbed the metal superstructure, lit papers he brought with him on fire, and shoved the papers into the tree.
It's beginning to look a lot like arson.
Fox News morning anchors waking up to the charred display outside their offices.
Who sets a Christmas tree on fire?
It's a tree that unites us, that brings us together. It's about the Christmas spirit. It is about the holiday season. It's about Jesus. It's about Hanukkah. It is about everything that we stand for as a country, freedom and being able to worship the way that you want to worship. It makes me so mad.
Estimates are that the damage is somewhere in the ballpark of $500,000.
I'm sorry, that's still funny to me. It's about bringing us together. It's about being united. It's about Hanukkah. It's about Christmas. It's about, you notice she didn't say Kwanzaa. Excuse me. You notice that I'm sorry, that's still funny to me. You notice that she didn't say Kwanzaa. And I'm like, it's a tree. Now, granted, arson is no laughing matter, but it's amazing because Fox News, again, not a news station, as much as they try to say they are, they're not, because they've said it in court they're not. But it is amazing how they turned around and was like, well, this is a war on Christmas. And they love that. They love anything that stokes their war on Christmas, because that's what the ratings are, because they believe that Christmas is under attack. Oh, it's about bringing the family. It's about Jesus. It's about this. And I want to sit there and say the whole time, I've never understood how they can get so wrapped up about a pagan holiday. I just feel the need to say that every chance I get. Not to knock those that truly do like Christmas and the spirit that it has, and that it does, in some ways it does, help you understand the reason for the season for all those people that go by that. But again, it's like whenever it comes to Fox News, they always overreact. But it's just like, again, yes, you had arson, but at the same time, Fox News, sometimes it's the hate that you spew that sometimes comes back to haunt you. Because I didn't see the tree at Rockefeller Plaza get bombed. I didn't see the trees at the White House get bombed. I didn't see the trees near the Naval Observatory where the vice president lives. I didn't see that get bombed. But why, of all trees, if Fox News gets bombed? You reap what you sow. But again, the lady should also learn Kwanzaa, since she's sitting there just throwing all these holiday events that we do, because it's about Hanukkah, it's about Jesus, it's just. I said, you don't even want to say the word Kwanzaa, don't you? Damn shame. But moving right along, guys, I did want to cover this story as well, that T-Mobile is joining us in the minimum wage area, because they are raising up their minimum wage to $20 an hour. They are pretty much are understanding the way of the world, and I have to give T-Mobile credit for this. Outside of absorbing Sprint and basically turning all Sprint customers into T-Mobile customers, that they pretty much said that yes, going forward, that we do need to do more than the minimum wage. And they said, quote unquote, it's about inclusion, and we want to draw a line that ensures no employee is left behind. And I'm not knocking that, because again, a lot of these places around here are starting to finally get it. For the simple fact of the matter, guys, is that these wages are not, we honestly used to joke about everything going up but your paycheck. And now it's like, it's not just a joke anymore. It's a common reality. And I'm all for it. I mean, do I expect Verizon Wireless and other cellular companies to jump on this? Eventually. I'm not going to expect it immediately, just because T-Mobile right now is going head to head. T-Mobile right now is going head to head with other wireless carriers. But it's interesting to where you can see these companies who are now paying $20 an hour. And I have been saying this, that the minimum wage needs to be at least $23 to $24 an hour. It needs to be. Why? Because they made this excuse that everything else every year, as products and prices go up, so do our costs. Okay. Then again, there's this weird ideology that the minimum wage is tied to this. It's not, because if you want to be honest, the fact that things are going up and the minimum wage is still $7.29 an hour tells you off the bat that it's not tied to this. But again, I've always said it best. Imagine if the minimum wage was raised, because every time it was raised, it did uplift the middle and lower classes of society. It did. But I think but we've gotten so far away from raising the minimum wage that now it does need an injection. We do need to have a jump. We do. I mean, no longer $15 an hour. We actually need to have $23 to $24 an hour. That is the sweet spot we need to be into. And amazingly, I'm talking to you Democrats, because you still have a slim majority in Congress for now, until the midterms next year. Why is this not one of your more most pertinent things? I have sat there and I've said this: if the minimum wage was raised to $23, $24 an hour, and it had an immediate impact on this, you can't sit there and tell me the economy wouldn't be better. You wouldn't sit there and tell me that people would now be going back to work, because again, now those jobs will have to do at least the minimum wage. Oh, but businesses won't be able to pay people that amount. You have to. Why? Because again, if you are a business and you employ people, and it's amazing when people say, so you have no problem paying people peanuts as the business has profits, but when you need to pay these people a living wage to survive, you're complaining that's going to take away from your profits. If you're complaining that's going to take away from your profits, you have no right to be a business. You shouldn't employ anybody. You should be your own employee and keep all the profits to yourself. Because that's the excuse they love to say so much, that if we have to pay people $23, $24 an hour at any job, that's going to take away the what if it's qualifying? You're telling me somebody in fast food should be making $23, $20 an hour, $23, $24 an hour? Yes. Have you seen what fast food employees have to go through on a daily basis? Have you seen what customer service people have to go through on a daily basis? Have you seen what your basic IT help desk has to go through on a daily basis? Because again, I always find it interesting that people in higher level areas tend to either forget or not know what people in the lower tier jobs have to go through, because they do quite more. So I just know if I run a business that I have no problem paying $23, $24 an hour. Why? Because now, number one, you want to make sure that your employees are taken care of. Number two, you get what you pay for. And honestly, I don't see anybody really turning down $24 an hour and up starting. Because why? Because those jobs are the ones where, yes, those jobs are not going to be easy jobs. But at the same time, we need to start drawing a line in the sand about pay. And these businesses, these corporations need to be held accountable. I have no issue with that. But with that being said, guys, we're going to move to our feel-good segment, because usually on How the Frack We Got Here, we usually cover a lot of things that are doom and gloom, sometimes make you lose your faith in humanity. But I do believe after last night's storms coming through here, along with this week, we need something to really pump us up, to really, make us introduce some positivity. I'm a big person on positivity. I didn't always used to be. I did not. I was never a big person on positivity. I was probably more negative than anything else. But as life went on, I decided that I wanted to embrace more positive things and want to be able to bring that cheer. And that's the reason why whenever we do these feel good segments, I want to find things that inspire, that let us know that there are still great people out in the world doing many great things, doing many acts of kindness, and just overall just being great human beings. And I believe I found out with these three stories, especially with this one. This one I actually did play during the midweek review about this one woman who is a TikToker, but also a trucker, and the fact that she's making a way or showing other people, especially women, that the trucking business can be a lucrative business for them as well.
Social media star who's helping change the face of trucking. A truck driver shortage is making the supply chain issues worse, as we know, and it's making it harder for people to get the goods and Christmas presents they want. Now, the trucking industry has been dominated by men for a century. Now it's seeing more women get behind the wheel. Errol Barnett hit the road with a woman who's making quite the impression.
What's up, everybody? She is outgoing,
Life is what you make out of it.
outspoken,
Your spouse never got on your nerves so bad you wonder why they still there.
and out on the roads, sharing what she knows about trucking.
I provide you with different places that's hiring, job searches, and ways you can save money on fuel.
Clarissa Rankin of Charlotte, North Carolina, is a wife and mother of two who is sharing all aspects of life as one of the relatively few women truck drivers.
Why did I become a truck driver?
Amassing more than 1.5 million followers on TikTok, she's one of the most popular truckers on the platform.
Say that again.
1.5 million who want to see what you're up to each and every day.
Yes.
It is a journey, Rankin says, stemming from necessity.
I went to school for my bachelor's in criminal justice, and I was over $50,000 in debt, and I couldn't find a job in my career.
How has trucking transformed your income?
My first year, I came out making $50,000. Now I'm well over $150,000, and that's just one truck, and that's not counting none of my social media.
Which, with endorsements, can help her earn up to $12,000 additional dollars a month. So we hit the road with Rankin and her truck Sparkle
I don't think you ready that early.
to see what life feels like on 5 axles and 18 wheels.
Come on, baby. Come on. Okay, baby. You don't want to use the light today.
You enjoy the view?
I love the road, and it's a break away from life, too, because the only thing you got to worry about is driving the truck. You see how close he was?
Rankin was inspired by her husband Joey, who obtained his commercial driver's license 8 years ago and quickly found work. But when she got her CDL, some employers were blunt.
He said, I would never hire you as my truck driver. He said, I would hire you as my assistant, though. I had 6 interviews, and they all turned me down. A woman actually was the one that gave me my first CDL job. She believed in me.
That belief now central to Rankin's online messaging, encouraging everyone, especially women, to consider this as a career.
Right now, women only make up 9% of the trucking industry. I want to make it and bring it up to at least 40%.
I do recall on one of her first videos, she was counting money. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, if she can do it, I can do it.
Michelle Locke obtained her trucker's license after being inspired by Rankin. Locke now drives with her husband on long-haul routes across the country.
I can retire from this. I can become a millionaire if that's what I decided I wanted to do. And my mindset was there.
After Rankin's delivery was unloaded, she stopped to refuel, discovering a male truck driver also inspired by her.
I started in April because of her.
Really? What was that like?
I do this for the people. So for him to be able to quote everything, my whole platform, and tell me who I am, it's like breathtaking.
Returning home at the end of the day is Rankin's top priority, made possible with Joey working as her dispatcher, giving them control over their schedule, allowing the TikTok star to spend time with her boys.
We sit at the dinner table together. We are a family, and I take pride in that. And that's why I make sure I educate people on my social media to show them, like, no, you still have to put family first. So the money never can make you. You make the money. Y'all know why I do this.
One woman making major moves on the road with her family and followers along for the ride. CBS Mornings, Errol Bart.
Yeah, I just thought that was cool because, again, I like to see people who literally make their own way at the same time show others they can do that, especially for those who may not get the same or may not even get looked at for the same opportunities as others. And I just thought that was pretty cool, especially from her, because I follow her on TikTok. She is definitely she's definitely a character, but I do like watch stuff, and I feel like it's, like I said, it's positivity, it's inspiration that she does, and I dig it. This other one, like I said before, guys, is, again, I'm all for random acts of kindness. If you have the ability to make somebody's life great, whether it's a minute, hour, a day, or a lifetime, go ahead and do it. The world could use more of it. And this man has been feeding the homeless for, I think they said, for almost 40 plus years. Check it out.
Has been feeding the homeless for 44 years. After Thanksgiving, Marty organizes a dinner for those in need at his Bronx church, Immaculate Conception. In recent years, the father of three decided to take his meals on the road and walk around the South Bronx, giving out sandwiches to those in need. He calls them Hope Walks. Marty and volunteers, including kids from the Bronx and Harlem, used to go on the Hope Walks a few times a year, but when the pandemic hit and many things shut down, they ramped up.
No one is out. Everyone's quarantining. But who is out is more and more people who are homeless. Now it's staring us really in the face. And then we had the conversation, and we started going out once a week with our supplies. And then we said, this has to be more. And we went 3 times a week.
Each week, Marty and his volunteers make sandwiches with money donated from the community. Then they take their homemade PB&Js and turkey sandwiches, and they set out to ask people if they'd like some food.
Our neighborhood has a lot of people who are homeless. We insist that it's people who are homeless. They're not homeless people. Some of the people are seniors. Some of the people may have addiction issues. We don't ask. It's none of our business. It's non-judgmental. But we do know this about them. Many of them they're all on the margins. And they all will benefit from a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a bottle of water, a hat or a pair of gloves, and a cookie. And then we always end with a little prayer and a blessing.
It's simple, but Marty has seen firsthand the impact of the Hope Walks.
One of our ladies last year, Virginia, we saw her on the outside, and she goes, I got an apartment. We were so thrilled. You didn't help her do it, but I mean, maybe we'll play a small part. Where are some people that at least she can share that good news with? And we definitely celebrate with her.
We were with Marty when he went on a Hope Walk with kids from Immaculate Conception School. And it was clear the hope went both ways.
And again, guys, religion aside, the fact that you are literally walking the streets and you are just doing what you can to help others who are going through multiple things, homelessness, addiction, things of that nature. And you offer them food and you offer them, the whole thing offering food, because trust me, all bad. PB&Js are life. I am a little bit bougie about what I use for peanut butter and jelly, but still, I will knock a PB&J. Sometimes they be slapping. And at the same time, offering a turkey sandwich and water and just a little bit of kindness. And I have been saying that because like I said before, I used to be a negative person. I used to sit there and look at the world so differently. And then somewhere along the lines of my 30s, I was like, you know what? It does not help to be negative. But when you start changing your mindset toward a positive mindset and you just really try to look for the best situation and try to look for the best outcome and just refusing to not accept anything but that, it does change things. And I know it changed things for me. So I can see, as far as that man, feeding the homeless for 40 plus years and seeing the effects of just doing an act of kindness, that it's infectious, it's addictive, it's like you just want to be able to help folks because you have the ability to do it. And that's the thing, not looking for reward or not looking for some sort of satisfaction or put something on Instagram or things of that nature, just to be able to do it. And that to me is the reward in itself, that you were able to help out somebody else, because you never know. I mean, life could flip you upside down and then you might be the one that might need the help. So I like the fact that what they were doing, the fact that he's getting the younger generation involved to make them understand, to help them understand that, yes, nothing wrong with being kind to others, because we all need a little kindness every now and then. So last one I got, guys, it is sports related, because I do believe football, along with other sports, can really help teach a lot of life lessons for children, especially for those in situations where, the life lessons they may need may not come from the stranger source. And yes, these law enforcement officers are doing the best they can, using football to teach these younger kids in these types of areas that, you normally wouldn't see that.
And law enforcement is low in some parts. The Watts neighborhood in Los Angeles has a program run by police officers to help give underprivileged children a shot at success while building trust in the community. It all happens on a football field. Here's ABC's Will Carr.
Under the bright lights, these kids are learning to pass, catch, and run with the ball on the only turf seen for miles. Who's the fastest here? Who's the fastest? These kids certainly don't lack confidence, and while this is practice, this football program is tackling much more than X's and O's.
Whoever over here at the X, they're running a post.
If the helmets look familiar, that navy blue with the yellow horn, that's because the kids are wearing Los Angeles Rams gear. They may live in the same city as the pros, but in many ways, they're a world away. Watts Rams, though, are navigating a path to victory. They're just one game away from the PB Championship and the chance to play in SoFi Stadium, host of this season's Super Bowl. For 14-year-old Johnny Howes, it's the opportunity of a lifetime.
I always dreamed about it as a kid. I don't have words for it. I mean, I imagine all the fans just standing up. If I score a touchdown, throw a touchdown, get a sack, anything.
This team is all about making those dreams come true, both on and off the field.
Round 25, slot reverse. 1, 2, 3. Run to the ball.
And the coach's duties don't stop after the last whistle blows. That's because the team is coached by LAPD cops, serving the underprivileged neighborhood of Watts.
Hey, partner, you ready to go?
Officers Steve Rodriguez and Jose Soto gear up to make one of their regular visits to the schools in the area.
Is there any other kids that are out there right now at recess?
But they're not here to make arrests.
Hey, sir. How are you? Are we picking you up tomorrow?
Instead, they're checking on their players.
How you guys doing? We're visiting. We're just visiting. Hello, guys. We just want to say hi. We're just here to say hello. Hey, how are you?
It's all part of a proactive effort to bridge the trust gap between members of law enforcement and a community where the roots of distrust run deep.
6 days of rioting in a Negro section of Los Angeles left behind scenes reminiscent of war-torn cities.
In 1965, an altercation between highway patrol officers and 2 black motorists sparked the Watts riots. The violence lasted for 6 days and left 34 people dead, more than 1,000 injured, and many more behind bars. LA would see similar turmoil again nearly 30 years later following the police beating of Rodney King. And most recently, civil unrest erupting in the wake of the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, leaving an impact on a new generation. For Johnny, the Watts Rams has become a second family, and his mom has noticed a big difference.
That's all he does is dream and sleep, playing football. Grades have gone up, chores at home, respectable. They've got him to be a nice young man.
No walking.
Back on the field, these young players don't see cops, just coaches.
1, 2, 3.
Sarah Thompson, the players call him Coach Z, started the team back in 2011.
Wild dream. Took 30 kids from different housing developments within the South LA. Started a team with 30. Now we're over 100 plus.
You're not only here with these kids, you're also out in the streets. You're seeing it day in and day out.
The relationship with the police and the community, it's getting better. So a lot of parents, a lot of families are buying into what we're doing, but we still have that little trust issue.
13-year-old Lucille Hall has seen the trust issues firsthand.
When they came up to see my grades at the school, they came in all their police gear and stuff. I go to a mainly black school, and everybody was like, "Oh no!" And everybody was just scared. This one kid, they started crying, and I was like, "Nah, they're cool. They're chill. These are police that you can trust."
On a team that welcomes both boys and girls, Lucille proudly wears a pink mouth guard, and she's getting used to the feel of a helmet and shoulder pads.
You ready to play?
Yes, sir.
It's changing her perception not only of the game, but of law enforcement as well.
One of my cousins, he got shot by the police, and it was just a lot for my whole family. That's when I was like, nah, I don't ever want to be associated with police. And now I see that, wow, police actually they're not all the same,
Johnny, who has aspirations of one day repping the NFL Rams, shares a similar experience.
I had a family member gunned down, and the police weren't doing anything about it. And then I always thought they were lazy, didn't do nothing. And I came to the Watts Rams, and I realized how hard they work.
So when you think about police officers now, what do you think?
I think they're heroes.
There's gangs in the community. There's overpopulated schools in the community. So they're dealing with stuff that I dealt with as a kid growing up in South LA myself. Like I always say, I know my babies are safe from 6 o'clock to 8.
You just call them your babies. Why do you call them your babies?
Now you're about to make me choke up, but I tell them all the time, I love you guys like you're my own.
When we talk about just drugs and gangs and all those things, that they're here, but it doesn't define what the community represents. These kids, they want to be more than that. But what this program does is it allows them to become a part of something else that belongs to the community in such a meaningful and impactful way.
In 2017, the Los Angeles Rams sponsored the team.
I fell in love with the program and the vision and what was possible. I was confident if the Rams came in, we could really kind of add rocket fuel to what they were already doing and make it even better.
Rams providing uniforms, a state-of-the-art field, and the chance to meet NFL players and coaches. One of the biggest treats was the chance to compete in the Pee Wee Championships at SoFi Stadium. And this year, the Little Rams did just that. Battling it out, but ultimately suffering defeat, leaving the players with tears in their eyes.
You win some, lose some, homie. No big deal.
While they say football is a game of inches, for the Watts Rams, it's a game of connections, bonding residents and cops, players and coaches,
1, 2, 3.
building a team that's winning even after it's lost.
And again, I thought that was actually great just because, again, guys, this is the part I keep saying that, yes, I know we talk about law enforcement, and yes, I know that for me, I keep on saying that they need to be perfect in their job. But this is what I was also saying about law enforcement, about being connected community, and the fact that, you know, once you connect to a community, you can actually turn around and do great things and actually get to know them. That was the whole thing that a lot of people were saying when it comes to law enforcement, getting to know their communities. You know, you're policing areas that, again, a lot of people may not know about. A lot of people may sit there and be like, well, this is what you guys want to do. So how do we, so how do we know we can trust you? I guess is the best way I could put this. But again, you just see it off the bat that these law enforcement guys go out there and just like football, you know, if you've never coached football or played football or coached young people, there is something about that you can teach more than just the game to them. And if these are, and I said before, I still believe that world peace can be achieved through sports. I still can believe it. I've said this many times, that for the simple fact of the matter, if a group of strangers can see a football game, and I've seen this happen multiple times, a group of strangers can watch one football game and they'll talk to each other, complete strangers talk to each other like they've known each other for 20 years. All because we have one relative common point, to where we are just football fans, we are watchers of the game, and not just football. It could be basketball, it could be hockey, it could be soccer, it could be even cricket. Cricket has fans. So, you know, for all those that know what cricket is, or highlight, but still, the point I'm making is sports can bring us all together. And in the world of law enforcement, they're just finding a way to connect to these kids and let them know that, hey, we pretty much, the ground basis of what I got from that was, it's letting them know that we care. We are not this evil entity out there that's out to take your lives, or out to take your family's lives. We're just here to interject ourselves so that we can relate to you, that we can help you. And even in a lot of times got them, because you see that a lot of players did benefit from that and are becoming great kids. So I got no issue with that when I see police do that, because it's those police that are not bad police. The police that are trying to get to know the communities they serve and really trying to interact with kids, I have no issue with those guys, because that's exactly what policing should be, not the opposite end. So with that being said, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this podcast. So I do thank everybody that liked, that watched, that shared, that let people know we're live. Still working with a new setup. So if you see me doing this kind of bird thing, it's only because, you know, still trying to get the whole setup going. And I'm still waiting for my stand, because I know this awkward thing about me looking into this camera instead of having me right in front of it. It's a little weird, but again, still waiting on equipment and stuff like that to come through. But, you know, thanks for dealing with us. Hopefully that the videos, there was no lag or anything of that nature. If it was, please let me know, because, again, I think this was a lot more of a fluid setup. But we're going to work it as it goes. But anyway, shameless plugging time. I do want to shout out to my buddy, Big BZA Dot. You can find him, although he's on hiatus right now, Big BZA Dot. You can find him, Devon Westfield on Facebook, Big BZA Dot on socials, where usually he would have his shows. Like I said, he's on a holiday hiatus right now, but you can definitely go back and check out his Smoking Trailer Sundays every Sunday from 6:30 to 9 p.m., in which he shows movies and video game trailers he finds interesting. And the RAF, which is like America's Funniest Home Videos, except done by WorldStar, every Tuesday from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Now, he has said there and said that he may do some pop-up shows during the holidays. You never know, but you want to find out? Check out his page, Devon Westfield on Facebook, or Big BZA Dot on all socials. And also, I do also want to shout out another great group of guys that also allowed me to share on their Facebook page as well. Ari and Gee present Geek Salad. They are a couple of guys that I've met this year. Funny group of guys, as you can see. They do in the world of pop culture and definitely want to share their things unfiltered and all, especially Ari, who still believes that Zack Snyder is a great director. Me and him do disagree a lot, but still got love for the man. But definitely check them out on Facebook and on YouTube by the same name, Geek Salad. Ari and Gee present Geek Salad on Facebook. And of course, look up Geek Salad on YouTube, as the page showing is right there. Now, as for yours truly, guys, the link that's been trolling at the bottom, that's kind of been going across, if you copy and paste that into your browser, will take you to my link tree for all of my Facebook and YouTube groups, for all of my podcasts. How the Frack We Got Here, Get Bit Me Off Fun's podcast. Definitely nothing has changed as far as podcast schedule. I know the holidays coming up, but I figured this year we're going to try to do something different. We're going to keep going until, you know, we just can't go no more. So yes, will there be some off-limits podcasts on Christmas Eve? Probably. More than likely, yes. Will there be some, of course, like I said, there will still be how the fact we got here and get bits up and into the new year and going forward. I believe that, we're going to really, push these programs because I think there's a lot that can be done with these things. And I just want to show off, the world as it is. So we're going to keep rolling with that. Aside from that, guys, again, I know I say this all the time. There's no need at this point to still be worrying about vaccinations. Please get vaccinated if you haven't already been vaccinated. Get the first shot, second shot, and also schedule for the booster. Because if you ain't noticed, COVID is starting to do the Infinity Gauntlet with all its variants. We're still waiting on past Omicron, but the way that we fight these variants, guys, as well as COVID-19. Please get vaccinated. Please get your shots. Please get the booster. Please still wear a mask when you're going out and about. Please do everything you can to protect yourselves because it's not about you anymore. The decisions that you make when going out affects others. So please, oh please, do the things that will keep yourself safe, to keep others safe, to keep hospital numbers down, because it's not just people in hospitals that need to go. It's not just the people in hospitals we also need to help. There are still plenty of people out there that go to the hospital for life-saving treatment or waiting on surgeries that can't do so because a COVID bed is taking up this place. Let's do our part to actually make sure these people get the life-saving treatment or medical medical attention or surgery that they need by simply doing something that right now is free to all. Enough said. Also, guys, again, I'll say it once and I'll say it again. I do believe in random acts of kindness. If you have the ability to make somebody's life great, whether it's a minute, a day, an hour or so, or a lifetime, go ahead and do so. The world could use more of it. I've shown you a couple of stories where, simply put, where random acts of kindness have helped out so many people. So again, it's like it's a no-brainer. It really is not. It really is a no-brainer as far as just doing the right things and doing right by others. It's not for platitudes. It's not for the gram. It's not for social media. It's just so fact of the matter is that if you just thought of somebody just to help them or just to elevate their mood, go ahead and do it. That's my whole thing about it. Aside from that, guys, the last thing I'll say about how the fact we got here, it's all about staying informed. We're not trying to change minds, persuade people. We're certainly doing what the news stations of old try to do, basically give you all the information, allow you to make up your mind for yourself. We do a lot better as a society once we're informed. We're progressive. We move forward. We try to right the wrongs of our past by making decisions now that should have been made back then, like electing our first Madam Vice President who was Black. I'm still hoping for Michelle Obama and her husband in 2024 because I would love to see a Madam President. And honestly, to see President Michelle Obama would be awesome. But you know what would also be awesome? Chief Supreme Court Justice Barack Obama. Just saying, when Michelle was in the White House, we didn't have all these problems. Aside from that, guys, thank you all for watching. If you're watching this on the playback, please comment if it's live. I still want to know what you guys thought about everything that we've shown here. Aside from that, guys, please take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll get through this. Peace.